Christmas and happy holidays, guys. Adam here, Blackfyre Productions, and we are back with another World War Marvel Tactics video. So today's focus is on the not-so-jolly, not-so-red big man himself, the Hulk. So without further ado, let's jump into the tactics video. I'm going to bring it down to the board, show you the card, show you some tactics cards that we could use on him, as well as some maybe tips and tricks on how to use them during your matches of Marvel Crisis Protocol. Alright folks, so here we are with the Hulk tactics video as mentioned in the intro of the video, of this video. So let's look at the card first off, like we usually do with any of these videos. So the Hulk's card, you can see that he has 20 stamina. He has movement short, size is 4, threat is 6, defense to physical defense and energy defense 2, and then mystic is 3. He does have a strike ability that on a wild can push you back. It's 6 dice of damage or power. It costs 0 power to do and range 2. He does have a thunderclap, which is a beam 3, and then also has 5 dice of damage and costs 3 power to do. Then Hulk Smash is his big attack, which is range 2, 8 dice of damage, and then 4 power. And those are base damage, which I'll get into shortly with his superpowers. He does have stagger, so after this attack is resolved, the target character gains this stagger condition. So stagger basically forces you to use your first action to do a shake. And then it also has a throw. So if you get a second wild, if you get 2 wilds, you can do both. If you get 1, you can choose what one. So before damage is dealt, this character may throw the character short. So that can be fun to throw people around. So let's get into his superpowers, which really make the Hulk who he is. So he has Gamma Leap. So place this character within range 2 of its current location. This superpower can be used only once per turn. Costs 3 power to do. And you may think that range 2 is really small, right? So like that's range 2. It's literally like 3 inches. And so like, let's look at the Hulk for a second. So say Hulk's all the way back here. All of a sudden when you push it, you can put it to the other far end and have it still touching. And like, so he's moving like at least 6 inches when he does that from front. Well, it's 3 inches front to back, but the base itself I think is probably like 1.5 inches or 2 inches as well. So like he's moving quite the distance with that range 2, and it is placed. So basically, like you, instead of worrying about like climbing, you could jump on top of like a building maybe with the Hulk, things like that with it, because it is a place ability. So again, that costs 3 power to do. Obviously, if you have the Avengers affiliation, which the Hulk is part of the Avengers, you could, or you're playing, I should say, with that affiliation, then Captain America's what is it? Avengers Assemble or his leadership ability, I can't remember the name off the top of my head, will lower that down to 2 power instead of 3. Then he has the strongest there is. This one is always active as well. Or sorry, this one is also active as well. Not always active. It is active superpowers. Choose an interactive terrain feature or an enemy character both of size 4 or less within range 2 and throw it medium. So he can throw... I've been playing it as like trucks, so like pickup trucks, stuff like that. Certain buildings are size 4, and so he's going to be able to pick those up and chuck them around. I think the new trucks from Atomic Mass Games also are size 4, if I can remember correctly. But he can pick them up, throw them at somebody for 5 dice of damage if they don't dodge. That can knock out a lot of models. So like Spider-Man, I think, has 5 stamina. You have... Baron Zemo has 5 stamina. Black Widow only has 2. So like if all of that damage goes through, he's gonna be a beast, or it's gonna knock somebody out. That costs 2 power. Again, Captain America's ability will knock that down if you have him in your team, or the affiliation, his leadership ability. So then he has Air Rage. So during the power phase, this character gains an additional 2 power. So you'll notice that during the strike, it only has a push effect. It doesn't actually have any, it doesn't give him any extra power. So he gets 3 power during the power phase automatically. And then obviously from there, any damage that he takes, he also gains power as well. That can be good, and that can be bad because it means that you're only getting 1 power. So we'll talk about the good and bads about that later on, actually. We'll just finish off the superpowers. So that's a passive ability. Next passive ability is you won't like me when I'm angry. Add 1 die to this character's attack rolls for every 3 damage it has. Additionally, if this character would flip its stat card to the injured side, it is KO'd. So it does not have an injured side, as I've shown before with the unboxing, and then it has immunity to poison as well. So let's look at some of these things in detail here. So we'll talk about, first off, the power. So it's good because you're getting 3 power automatically during the power phase, which is the most safe in this game at this point in time. But the bad, your strikes won't give you extra power, which sucks because if you are stunned, where you can only ever gain 1 power, it means that in the power phase, you're only getting 1. You're not getting 3, you're getting 1. And there's no other ways. Well, that's not true. There are other ways of getting power and stuff like that. But at this point in time, or I should say, there will be other ways of gaining power eventually, and with the different crisis cards and stuff like that. But just him on his own, that stun will knock that down to 1 power, which is not good. And that is really truly how you want to deal with the Hulk is you want to stagger him and stun him if you can. Give him those effects. The stagger forces him to take one of his actions to shake the effect. And so then it limits him to maybe 1 attack a round instead of 2. And then the stun limits the power. So that's really how you sort of get around the beast that is the Incredible Hulk. And that is basically just stun him and stagger him. When I've used him once, because I've only used him once, I've realized quite quickly that in the first couple of rounds before you get into combat, you want to sort of activate him later on during the activations. Reason being is because if you jump him up ahead too soon, everybody's just going to jump on him. And you might not get a second turn with him, because if everybody focuses on him with his lower defenses, then he could be, not saying that he will, but he could be knocked out. Obviously, if they do damage him, he's going to gain the power from that, which is good. If he's stunned, it's only ever going to be 1 power, though, which is bad. You're just trying to make him survive so he can activate. So again, I think when using the Hulk, you want to activate him later on in the round. So some of the good things with the Hulk, he is literally going to be like a gamma missile. Atomic missile, maybe? But once you use him and he starts getting damage with that, you won't like me when I'm angry. I've seen him knock out multiple models. So I was running in demo day, and the Hulk was just knocking people out left, right, and center until everybody jumped on him. In my battle reports, I was playing the Cabal, I think, and my opponent Blake was playing the Hulk, and he KO'd Dr. Ock in 1 punch, and it was just when he gets the dice, they're gonna roll really good or really bad. Well, really good, hopefully, and you'll be able to basically knock out almost anybody. But he is he's just such a big damage outputter. It's crazy, because when you start adding in the tactics cards and stuff like that I think you should be using with him, it really makes him shine and actually goes from there. So what affiliation do you use him with? Do you use him with the Avengers to lower the power costs of his superpowers, or do you use him with the Cabal and Red Skull? So if you're doing the Avengers, it's great if you can get him up to a point where he's kind of damaged and you have cap around him. So I think he's my number 1 bodyguard. Or well, I guess he's the one that I'll be bodyguarding the most once he's damaged. Reason being is because then he's doing a ton of damage output, and any attacks that will go after the Hulk, I'll just put it on Cap. Especially if Cap is injured and he gets the blanks, I'll just bodyguard all day if I can. And the fact that he has such a large base means that Cap doesn't have to be like right in the heat of things. He could be back a little bit further and stuff. But I'm just going to bodyguard with Cap all day once the Hulk's damaged, so that way you can hopefully last longer when you're striking and damaging your opponents and stuff. Because I think with your basic attack, it's 6 dice, and then you have another 6 potential dice from your You Won't Like Me When I'm Angry. So that's 12 dice from a basic strike. And then you look at Hulk Smash, and it's jumping up to 14. So it's like, it's super good. Or if you use Thunderclap, that's like huge, because each one's going to be getting, like when you're highly damaged, and say you're at 18 damage, you're going to be looking at 11 dice per model under that beam for your enemies. And so it's really fun. Really good. So there are definitely advantages. Like I said, is basically you're going to use Cap to protect the Hulk while he's doing his thing and knocking people out and being big, mean, and angry. Don't forget green. But the Cabal, on the flip side, when you're using the Cabal with him, there's some really cool things that you can do with Red Skull's card here. So you have the Master of Evil affiliation. So each time an allied character damages an enemy character with an attack, after the attack is resolved, the attacking character gains 1 power. So every time he damages somebody, he gains a power. So that sort of mitigates that whole strike not having a power ability. And if you are stunned, you're still getting a power from that, which is super awesome. And then if you want him, say you're in a position where you can afford the Hulk to take some damage to get some extra dice in his attacks and stuff like that. Maybe he's surrounded by people, and it's his go, and Red Skull's near him. Even Hail Hydra. So basically have Red Skull shake off his attacks onto the Hulk, and then you know he's going to be taking that damage, so that way he's going to be outputting that damage later on. And that's going to come into some like tactics cards as well, because you have like Cosmic Invigoration and everything, which will allow Hulk to potentially activate twice in a round, which is really cool. On top of that, you have Master of the Cube. So you choose this character or another allied character within range for the character and place it within range 2 of its current position. So that you're just going to get Hulk that much further up the board. And again, so he can leap, he can do this placement. It's super good. So the affiliations, like, they both have something going for them, and the leadership abilities currently that we have. I don't have Black Panther model yet, because it was released, well, it's due to be released December 20th, and I know you guys in the States got it on the 13th, so I haven't had a look at, to sit down and look at Black Panther's card and Killmonger's cards in the boxes, or the cards that come in the box, so I haven't been able to look to see if there's any benefits from those guys being used together. But with that said, let's go into the tactics cards next. So going into the tactics cards next, I know some people, when they're looking at the Hulk, some people think that he's underwhelming for the point cost. Some people think he's a beast and scary, and rightfully so. It all depends on how you play him. Like I said, the first thing, I think he's a late game player. I don't think you want to jump him ahead and raid into everybody so he can be jumped on. I think once you're moving up the board, you sort of activate him last or second last, and then maybe you play a card such as, like, if you have the Cabal affiliation, Cosmic Invigoration. So if Red Skull's within range 2 of an allied character with an activated token, they may spend 2 power each to play this card. Remove the activation token, and the allied character rolls 3 dice, and for each crit, wild, or hit rolled, the character suffers 1 damage. So hopefully you get some extra damage on the Hulk to do some, or to increase his damage output, but you're also allowing him to potentially activate twice in a round. So like maybe have him like be the second last activation once you actually get into your enemy's lines, punch a couple of people in the face, knock them out, or daze them if they're not injured, and then have Red Skull near them so you can do the Cosmic Invigoration again. So I think that is something that will be very beneficial to playing Red Skull and the Cabal. On top of that, for the Avengers, you have Second Wind. So this here is basically going to help you guys keeping the status effects off of the Incredible Hulk, as well as being able to potentially heal him 1 damage just to help if you want to try to keep him around that much longer. Say he has a ton of damage on him, you can use that. And I know you're lowering the damage, and it will lower his damage output potentially, but at the same time, it could potentially keep him around as well. So, but the big thing here is to get rid of that stun, because that is one of the biggest ways that you're going to defeat the Hulk during the match, is to have those. Talking about damage and everything else, we got another one here, Patch Up. So Patch Up here, it's an unaffiliated tactics card that's active. So choose a non-dazed allied character. Another allied character within range 2 of the chosen character may spend up to 5 power to play this card. Remove the damage from the chosen character equal to the damage spent. So basically, if you don't want them to die, and that's really can be used for that. I think shines a little bit more when you use it with the Cabal affiliation, just due to the fact that you're putting damage on them and you have no way to sort of bodyguard them, and so it will keep them around a little bit more, where Cap's going to be hopefully shield blocking them and stuff, or bodyguarding them. But that will help sort of keep him alive and ticking and fighting and doing what he's supposed to do that much further. Also, another unaffiliated tactics card is Follow Me. So I think this is good because it allows you to choose another allied character within range 3 and immediately activate it. So basically, this is where you can sort of play for a double turn. So say you have priority, you activate first. Yeah, that's not going to work, actually, in my head. I just had a brain fart. But say you want to activate two models in a turn, and then that there, or like one in sequential order. Basically, what's going to happen is you activate this character, activate the active character may play 6 power to play this card, choose another allied character within range 3, and activate that model. So if you want the Hulk, say you're putting damage and really trying to focus on something or somebody, you activate the model, have them pay the power, and then get the Hulk to activate right afterwards. And then maybe after that, you can like Cosmic Invigoration, so that way you can later on in the round, if you're a Cabal, and reactivate them a second time. And so it plays with the sequence of how your team will work. A couple of other tactics cards. I really like this one for some of these slow movers on your team. So you have like Crossbones. And so it's Gamma Launch. So if the Hulk is within range 2 of another allied character that is not holding an asset or civilian token, you may spend 3 power to play this card. Place the other allied character within range 5 of its current position. So like that's 10 inches across the board. So this is going to be good for a couple of things. So like if the Hulk's over here, and Captain Marvel's over here. Actually, let's do Spider-Man. So the Hulk wants to throw Spider-Man because he's trying to get to the back of the board. And like Spider-Man's somewhere. Yeah. Spider-Man's behind this tree, let's say. And he's back here. So he's going to throw him over here. But during Spider-Man's next activation, he can still move long. So like you can almost throw somebody halfway across the board, if not more, with this Gamma Launch. And then the movement of said models. So like models like Crossbones, who are extremely slow. The Hulk can get him into position that much faster with this Gamma Launch. Yes, it costs 3 power, but it could be worth it. Maybe you want to make a run for a backfield objective on your opponent's side of the board, and so that's where maybe you might want to use like your range 5 or your Gamma Launch with the range 5 on somebody like Black Widow, maybe that moves long, or like Baron Zemo. The other thing that you can do with using the Gamma Launch is if you needed somebody that can protect people, maybe deal some extra damage and stuff like that in a position, you just use Gamma Launch to throw them into position instead of having them waste an activation to move. So that is Gamma Launch. And then the last tactics cards that I sort of grabbed for here just helps with that much more of damage output. And it really makes sense why they have the Hulk in the artwork on the back. Smash. So unaffiliated again, it's inactive. So if the active character is within range 1 of an interactive terrain feature that is a smaller size than they may spend 2 power to play this card. So basically, he can lift up cars, rip them in half, and start using them as weapons, clubs, beating people, doing what the Hulk does. The terrain feature is destroyed and removed from the battlefield. Add a number of dice to the active character's attacks. This activation equal to the size of the terrain. So, like, huge amount of damage added to the Hulk. So, like, your damage all of a sudden, like, his biggest attack, if he uses this, yeah, you're using 7 power to do it in total when you're using Hulk Smash, as well as the Smash ability, but it's going to be 311 dice base without any damage on the Hulk. If there's damage on the Hulk, it's only going to go up from there, and oh man, that's going to be like 17 dice worth of damage. So that is basically my suggestions on the Hulk, or thoughts on the Hulk after looking at him and playing with him / against him. You either want to get the damage on him and sort of send him in as like a, I don't want to say glass cannon because he does have 20 stamina. He's going to be around hopefully for a little while, but because his defenses aren't the greatest, he's probably going to take some damage on the chin. But like, he's going to go around and basically knock 1 or 2 models out. At least that's the hope with the Hulk, before people can jump on him. And using, like I said, Red Skull with Cosmic Invigoration to get extra activations out of him, or maybe using the Follow Me to sort of activate him outside of sequence and everything else. I think that will sort of help him survive and do his job on the field. Anyhow, guys, hopefully you guys are having a great holiday season. Thank you for watching Blackfyre Productions. Please check out the Patreon link below. It helps us do what we're doing here. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, happy holidays.